Okay, let's talk Vandas. Just to show off here, show you my Vanda game. Look at this bad boy. There's like 100 blooms in this. It smells really good too. That is a serious Vanda. So, how do I do it? How do I do it? That is the question. I have a lot of Vandas, probably about at least 50, maybe 70. So I love Vandas. They might be my favorite kind of orchid in Florida. So I am in Southwest Florida. It's very important to know where I am because you should adjust your own orchid growing accordingly. So I'm in Sarasota, which is south of Tampa, hot, subtropical, humid, rainy in the summers. So anything I say, be aware that that is what we're dealing with here. So let's take a look at the Vandas. So how do I have these beautiful, blooming, vibrant, happy Vandas? They're actually very easy. If you are in the right climate, I think they're just about the easiest orchids to grow, if you just know a couple things. So as you can see, they're cool. They have no soil. They just hang off of trees in nature. So all of their roots are air roots. They don't like any sort of medium. They don't want to be in bark. They don't want to be in anything. Some people do it. I don't know how they get away with it, quite frankly. Anytime I've even mounted it on a piece of wood, it gets sad. The only time I've really had happy orchids, Vandas, is when you just hang them. They want to be hung. That's it. So as far as growing happy Vandas, again, very simple as long as you live in the right climate. If you're watching this and you live in Pennsylvania, give up. It's not going to happen. Even if you have some fancy setup where inside you have like a humidity tray and a heater and a humidifier, it's not going to work. No, you got to be in the right climate. So it probably needs to be subtropical, meaning Florida, like below Orlando, maybe below Jacksonville, southern Texas, southern California, anywhere around the world by the equator. Uh, but anyway, they're cool. So, what do you need? In this order, you need temperature, which we just talked about. You need light. That's number 2. So this is a south-facing pool cage. It gets bathed in sunlight all day, every day. It doesn't want to be in direct sunlight. Very few orchids do. I think Vandas, you can train them to be in direct sunlight. There's certain species, certain kinds of Vanda where you can train them. I've never messed around with it though, because I'm very bright here anyway, and my Vandas are very happy anyway. So, not shade, not partial shade, like sun with a little bit of screen over top, and they're happy. So, climate, light, water. Maybe water is number 2. 2 and 3 are light and water are equal. They need water. They are water hogs. In the summer, I'm supposed to water them twice a day, meaning twice a day, soaking them down to the point where they're just dripping and green. That's a lot. So I usually don't do that. I probably do water them every day. I think one of my secrets to make them so happy and so bloomy is to water them every day. In the winter, a little bit less, but almost all year, every day. You want the roots to be big and fat and happy like that. Let me see if we get it close up here. You can see this yellow one here is super happy. So I don't know, can you see these, how fat these roots are? Happy roots. If you see the roots look green, like kind of like they do get algae on them. It's almost impossible. I don't know if, see how this is kind of green? They're okay. It's just algae gets all over them, but it's just cosmetic. Everything's fine. By the way, I'm going to give a shout out to the Vanda Man. He's this guy south of here. I think if you just search for the Vanda Man, he's hysterical. He's probably the biggest Vanda commercial grower possibly in the world. I'd really recommend this channel because he knows what he's doing, like big time, more than me. All right, so we have climate, light, water, fertilizer. So these are heavy feeders. So what does that mean? They want a lot of fertilizer. I fertilize them every time I water them. So what I do is I inject fertilizer into my water line. Basically, anything that comes out of my hose has a little bit of fertilizer in it. So every time I'm watering the Vanda, they're getting a little bit of fertilizer. That's a separate video, but I think one of the biggest, most important things is having, is this on? Yeah. One of the biggest, most important things is that injecting fertilizer directly into water, into your water supply. Because in nature, it's not like once a week or once a month they get bathed in fertilizer, right? Every time it rains, they get just a little bit of fertilizer, and that's how orchids grow in the real world. We're trying to replicate as much as possible how these things grow naturally. So that's it. So fertilizer, I fertilize them a little bit each time. That keeps them happy. I should be more prepared. I didn't have my hose over here. So when it comes to watering your Vandas every day, it's like, what exactly do I mean by that? So this is a hose, and this is where the water comes out of. So what I do is okay, so we're watering this one right here. And you're like, all right, Dave, that's nice and wet. That looks good. Nope, not done. More. Okay, that's probably, nope, not done. More. You gotta soak it, soak it, soak it. You can't just like spritz it. It needs to be soaked, soaked, soaked. And then what you're supposed to do is stop, wait a couple minutes, and then start again. So why that is because roots, really dry roots don't get wet. Just like if you pour water on really dry sand, it runs off. Same thing with roots. So first you have to get it wet, let the water go in a little bit, and then you wet it again, and it really brings in the water. So that's the idea. So what I'll do is I'll just do the whole Vanda thing, which takes me like 5 minutes, and then come back to the start and do the whole Vanda thing again. That's how you water them most effectively. They bloom for a long time. They are, oh, here's another hint, and people think I'm absolutely crazy for even considering this. Here, I'm gonna do it on camera. It's gonna break your brain. I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. Man, I can't do it. I don't have the heart. Okay. So when these guys start to get a little sad, like this is starting to die a little bit, some of the flowers are falling off, there's an argument to be made that at this point, break it off and put it in water. Now, why would you break off a happy Vanda like that? Well, flowers take a tremendous amount of energy from the plant. So the energy is putting so much time and energy into the flower, it has no time and energy to put energy into the roots and foliage and the greenery. So a lot of these greenhouses, like the Vanda man, the bud will come out and he breaks the bud. Like people gasp, no, how could you do that? Why was it evil? What he's doing is he's putting the energy back into the plant, and then like 3 months later, there's a huge bud coming, huge flower stem spike. And by the way, there's a tropical cyclone that is coming here on the Gulf Coast of Florida today. So after this video, it's going to rain for about 2 days. So it'll give me some time to edit. Okay, what else do we need to know about Vandas? Hang them, lots of air movement, right? Just like in nature, they're hanging from a tree. As far as diseases go, I haven't seen them prone to any disease really bad. Like some species and genera of orchids are susceptible to particular kinds of diseases. The only things that really get orchids I've found are thrips. If you are an orchid aficionado, or even if you're kind of new to orchids, you know how evil thrips can be. So thrips are these tiny little microscopic bugs, and they suck the sap out of your happy little bud, and it creates bud blast. So bud blast means, you know, usually just buds just like keep going, and it just stops it, and there's like a black bud, like it stops it in its tracks. I don't know that I have an example of, I do, but it's way far away. I don't have an example. But, oh, the other thing is you'd be amazed at how long Vandas last in water. Like just like in a glass. Like this, I accidentally knocked him off. This is like 4 days ago. It still looks like a brand new, like nothing, right? So you'd be surprised how long these last in water. Okay, so I don't really proactively spray them with anything. If I'm having a real thrip problem, I might spray the buds with some sort of anti-thrip, very, very mild insecticide. We'll talk about that kind of the poisons some other day. That is all I have planned for today with my Vanda talk. I don't know if there's anything else that I could possibly tell you that's going to blow your mind and make you better at growing Vandas. But like I say, they're my favorite. I shouldn't say that. They might be. I think they're my favorite orchid. Showy. The flowers last forever. They're easy. I mean, really, I don't do anything, and I come out here, and it's just like, boom, like this huge bloom comes out of nowhere. They're very tough. I've actually thrown, like one that was dying, was actually this one. So, look how cool this is. Here it is. Here's thrips. Let's see. Can you see this black thing right here? That means this flower was developing, and as it got that high, these little bugs got in there and killed it. And like short-circuited the whole thing and ended. You're right, it should be like continue like more flowers. Anyway, this thing is in bad shape because I found it. It has all this like sunburn and fungus and damage, and I'm like, I'm not even messing with this thing. I'm just gonna throw it in a tree outside, let it do its thing. I'm not gonna focus on it. If it does have a fungus, I don't want it spreading to everything else. So I look out the other day, and that was there. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? They just bloom like crazy. Like you don't even have to do anything, and you turn around and there it is. So if you're in a warm, wet, rainy climate, and even if you just spray this every once in a while, you're gonna have nice looking flowers. So I know you learned a lot today, and I know you want to subscribe and like and share and spread the love of the Orchid Oasis so that everyone can become an orchid addict. And I'm telling you, you got to be careful because you get one orchid, you're like, this is cool. You get 3 more, and you're like, yeah, these are fun. And then you get like 5 more, and then it's over. Like you're done. Before you know it, you have this. Before you know it, you have like 400 orchids. It's a disease. It's a sickness. I'm not aware of any rehab facilities that specifically deal with this. They'll probably start popping up as it gets worse, as it spreads across the country. But all right, until we meet again, that was fun. Go Vandas.